Welcome to Planet Marzipan Podcast,
your fish and Marillion podcast,
where we talk about all things in the planet of Marillion and fish. I'm Mezza, and here's my mate,
Craig Houston.
Hello, and welcome to Planet Marzipan. I'm Mezza. I'm here with my good friend,
Faye.
Houston.
Indeed, she's back. She needs an air, and she's still.
We are here.
She's a bit mouldy.
The European-only single, "The Company," and we welcome back Stephen Wicks.
Hello.
Hi, Stephen. Kieron Buxton.
There again.
Hi, Kieron. Stuart Clyde.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Stuart. Mark McCormac.
Hello.
Hi, Mark. I'm Mikie Kay.
Hi, guys.
That was really half-high, Mikey. It's been a long night. So, this single, Craig, was only released in Germany.
Europe. Yeah, in the Netherlands as well. It was Europe.
On the 18th of July, 1990. It's the fourth single from Vigil in the Wilderness of Mirrors, and it is The Company.
Yeah, I see you've got a little one there.
I have. You've got a bigger one.
I haven't got a little one. I've only got the big one. I wanted to get the little one.
Can't fit that in your CD player, can you?
I've tried. Didn't work.
If you've heard the last episode, you'll know how upbeat Stephen Wicks was. So I'm going to go straight to Stephen about The Company.
This song reminds me of the very much of the Split. So to my mind, it's my ears. It's the biggest two fingers that Fish gave to Marillion. He did quite a lot publicly in the press. He did it live, reading out press cuttings about Marillion when I saw him in Manchester on the main tour. But musically, talking about the boys, to my mind, he's clearly talking about the other four members of the band. And while it's edited for the record, I think live it's used "Tell Them to F Off." And that reflects how he felt, and you know, musically it's a very Scottish themed song, and it went down very well when you first heard it live, and clearly it was a favourite because they named his fan club after it. So I think it was a good song. Thematically, it's where Fisher's head was at. I think it's quite clearly one of the themes of the album is the hill and commerciality, but another theme of the album is about why he wants to step away from that and how other people are selling out or selling themselves by being as they are. So I can't really separate it from his sort of vitriol really about how he felt about the Split from lyrically. But that said, it is a good song. It is good live. It is a good sing along. And whether it's a great single or not, I don't know. But certainly it's a good Fish song to have after sing with a few mates after a few beers.
Well, between the recording of these episodes, you did ask a very pertinent question where you said, what would you have released off this album? So if you don't think The Company is a single, do you think there's another single on the album that he could have released?
Well, I don't think there's four singles on the album. It's a prog rock album, isn't it? I think, you know, Gentleman's Excusing was obvious choice, Big Wedge was an obvious choice, and they were the main singles off the album around the time the album was released. State of Mind was released early, not to scare the horses and promote a tour, and this was released again, I don't know why really, it was released just in Europe. So They probably got it right. There's no other songs that are on the album that I think would have made better singles, put it that way.
Okay. Kieron, what do you think of it?
It's a great song. It's a sing-along song, isn't it? It's always going to be the last song at the end of the night on 99% of the shows. It just works so perfectly. It is a two fingers to Marillion, but it's more. I still think it's more to the whole music industry. People paying you money and then telling you what you're allowed to do with your own ideas.
I mean, this lyric was written while he was still in Marillion.
Yeah.
Because Bob Ezrin sent him away to write a drinking song, and this is what he wrote.
To be fair, just about everything that he wrote was a drinking song.
I wonder what the band thought about it when he played it them. It would be interesting to be a fly on the wall at that time. Well, we not played it, but you know, read the words to them.
Yeah. And Kieron, you get a chance to be a ballerina when he plays this live, don't you?
Yes,
we all do.
Every single time. It's one of those strange ones where you turn around and face people who aren't moving. And a lot of the final gigs that happened where people were coming back and they hadn't seen him for a long time. And everybody who's been seeing him for like the last 30 years would turn around and dancing and they were just stood there going, what the fuck's going on here?
yeah. Okay.
But no, it's a great one. I still don't know why it didn't release it here. I mean, it didn't need releasing, but why it's just so people like us have to.
I think I know, but I'm going to let
Find it.
Craig say, because we've talked about it before this recording. So there is probably a really good reason why it wasn't released elsewhere. But Craig will talk about that when I get to him. Stuart, what do you think of the company?
I love the fact that it is very Celtic feeling, and there's all few songs that have got that real earthy Celtic feel, you know, very Scottish, very Irish. And if you look at the musicians that played on it, it's like a who's who of Celtic musicians. You've got Phil Cunningham and Ali Bain of the Scottish folk scene, and two bigger names you probably couldn't find from that. Davy Spillane on the Irish pipes. You know, it's just everybody's there just making it sound absolutely brilliant. And of course, then you've got the contrast to that with the big orchestral strings coming in. It's just a lovely balance of really earthy, stripped down Celtic feel and big production. And I noticed that did I hear a dobro on it? You know, that kind of the metal guitar from Dire Straits.
Possible.
They played. It sounds a wee bit like the guitar from Romeo and Juliet. You know, Dire Straits.
Yeah.
Spotted that Hal Linda's played on the song as well. I'm just wondering if he sneaked his dobro in at some point in time. That's not a gentle euphemism, by the way, sneaking in your dobro.
I mean, Hal's definitely quoted on the track, definitely credited on the track. So
yeah, so I mean, if you listen to the background of the opening parts of the company, and then listen to Romeo and Juliet, you've got that definite dobro guitar feel. But no, I love it, and it's you know, like Kieron was saying, it's the perfect end of the night song. One that Still Marillion have yet to tackle, but I dare say that'll be in the pipeline within the next year or two. But it's a cracking tune and a joy to be there when it's performed live.
Yeah, I think you really should. This really should be on your list, shouldn't it? For next year, this would be great.
It wasn't the final songs though on the State of Mind tour and visual, because he was doing Internal Exile, and that wasn't even out yet.
No,
and that's what he was finishing with at the time.
When he briefly was a DJ on Planet Rock, and he played it, and he played uninvited guests, and he said this was about Marillion, and the invited guest was a song Marillion had written about him, which I think it probably was. So, you know, quite clearly that was in his mind when he wrote it.
Yeah. Mark, what do you think of it?
Not as good as Whiplash. I jest. No, of course, it's a classic, absolutely brilliant. But I don't like to think of it in terms of Two Fingers to Marillion. To me, it's a song for the fans, for the fan club, and you know, a song to sing to and dance to at the end of the night, and I love it. It's just class.
Yeah, definitely. Mikie.
I've always loved this song. I think everything that's been said about it, it is just rip roaring, get involved, sing along, dance along. It was an absolute joy to hear it on his farewell tour. An absolute shame that it didn't get a promotional video, because I think I would have been intrigued to see what could have been done with it. No, I think for me, going back to what you asked Stephen earlier, John, I think if this had been put out instead of State of Mind, maybe it would have performed better. I'm not sure how radios would have reacted to it, given its Celtic lint. But that doesn't detract from the song for me. I think it sounds absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. Okay.
Gorgeous arrangement as well.
I think it was the most unsingly single that released from Vigil. You know, the other ones were very single formatted, you know, the verse and the chorus and the verse and the chorus, etc. Whereas the company was absolutely not that. They had themes that recurred, but there was no rules being followed there. You know, Fish had a story to tell, and he was going to tell it in the best way for the music. So it wasn't necessarily for the single bang public. This is just how I want to present it, and there it is. There's your dinner.
Yeah. Greg, what do you think of this song?
Copyright 2025 Andrew Barnsley Wood. It's epic. It is. It is. I understand. I mean, I've always loved it live. I think it's by far one of the strongest tracks on the album. I think musically it is fantastic. It's got everything from the Celtic feel to the orchestra to the rock to it. It encompasses a lot of the styles of the album into one song. And yes, it's a two fingers up to Marillion. Yes, it's a song for the fans. Yes, it's a song for where his mind was at and him pitching his flag at the top of the hill of where he was at and where he was wanting to be. I can understand why it was chosen as a fourth single, because I think it was chosen for the fourth single for the same way that Incommunicado was chosen for the first single of Clutching, is it was an important song for the fans. It was nothing at all to do with getting any extra airplay or anything like that. I think it was released as a single for the fans and almost like a thank you for the fans. Could be completely up in the air with that one. And it was just a shame that the relationship with EMI had deteriorated to such a point with the UK, but him being with the UK being the head offices of EMI, completely different kept the fish with the EMI Electrola and that in Europe, because they're the ones who released this, you know, separately from EMI in the UK. But it's just interesting. You were talking again what me and John were talking about earlier on, is that there was no support for this from the UK because this was out on the 19th of July. On the 9th of July, so 18th of July, on the 9th of July, Fish had played his last UK date of the Vigil tour at the Royal Albert Hall. And he talks in the documentary where that is where when the relationship with EMI went south, because nobody was allowed from EMI to go to that gig. He was basically being blackballed as of then, because he was in the position where sales, he had a long-term plan for, you know, the company to be the next single and then to do another tour in the autumn and then to start writing Internal Exile and then that be out the following year. He had a plan in his head, but it was scuppered because EMI had prevented him hitting the point in his career where he was going to get an increase in royalties, because he had to hit a certain number on Vigil by a certain time and he wasn't quite there. The next single would have helped him out, but EMI deserted him for it. And this is when everything started to change for him.
Definitely.
And it's a shame that's why we didn't get the single, because EMI in the UK were just ready to cut it loose.
I wonder if record companies at the time were looking at what was coming and thinking. I remember at the same time, Little Angels had a #1 album, but EMI plowed a load of money into marketing it, so it actually ended up making a loss, even though it was their biggest selling album. And they had some minor hits, and they were dropped having had a #1 album. And I wonder if it's the same thing. The companies were looking at what's coming from America, what's happening with independent labels, and were a bit scared about chucking good money after bad, if I can use that expression, when the tide was changing a bit musically.
I think a lot of it's also to do with that Fish had got such an advance and he was pushing a lot for tour funds from EMI, and he was actually getting the tour funds, but the tour he'd over anticipated his spending, and he was spending too much on the tour, thinking he was still in the big band and still thinking that gravy train was going to keep coming. The tour did well, but it didn't do as much as he'd needed it to do, and it was just a case of. And it's odd because EMI, he was on a cheaper deal for them, so he was actually cheaper for them to run this entity than the Marillion were. And Vigil had actually done well, you know, it had done well, and I think it was quite short-sighted of EMI for them to do to him what they did. But that's probably a fan's perspective.
That Little Angels Jam is a fantastic record, by the way, Stephen.
That's wonderful.
Brilliant record. I think the company, I share the same view as Mark. I don't think about Marillion with this. I think it's a song for the fans, and it's a song about him, you know. And that theme has sort of been all the way through his solo career. We've said this on the podcast before, he's had more cunning plans than Baldrick, and the only constant he's got in his life is himself. And that's what this song is about for me.
Well, that's why Mark says he shouldn't have any toes left.
Shouldn't have any what left?
Toes left. Because just keeps shooting himself in the foot.
Yeah.
And if you'd like to come on and discuss that on the podcast, he's more than welcome.
Yeah, well, I was about to point out the email address for when he wants to get in touch with Craig for some of the things he said, but Fairgooston @ yeah. The other tracks certainly on the 12-inch and the CD are live version of Family Business and a live version of Punch and Judy, recorded in Rotterdam, March 1990, and a demo version of The Company. What's the B-side of the single? Is it Family Business?
The 7-inch single, Punch and Judy.
Oh, Punch and Judy, right, okay.
But the 12-inch and the CD are the same.
Yeah. Some nice Mark Wilkinson artwork again with a businessman with a bowler hat.
It is, according to Mark Wilkinson, his favourite image of the singles from Vigil.
Okay.
He says on the documentary.
Yeah. There's a lot going on.
I love it. And I love the fact that you've actually got the scene from the album right on the horizon. You've got the hill and the destroyed abbey and stuff. So it all ties in nicely. But the thing I like about it as well is actually on the back cover, you've got the paper aeroplane kind of shot down and in flames coming down. Again, it's a shame that this didn't get a UK air, and just for the artwork alone, I think it's absolutely wonderful.
And a picture disc, Mikey, would be nice, wouldn't it?
A picture disc would have been perfect, yes.
Yeah.
And
damn you, EMI.
And one thing we'll say, the highest this charted, the only place I can find information for how this charted was number 59 in the Netherlands.
Okay.
So it did chart, but
there's no video. That's kind of all we've got to say about it. Has anybody played the live tracks recently?
Yeah, because on the Visual in the Wilderness and Mirrors extended one on Spotify.
Streaming, on there, aren't they? Yeah.
One thing it did spur, though, was a classic bright orange T-shirt, which I never got.
It did? Yeah.
And that was one of the possibly the best-selling Fish T-shirts back in the day, because a lot of people got that T-shirt.
Yeah.
And it was bright orange.
Yeah.
It's a shame they didn't do a live video. It was screaming out for having a live performance video, wasn't it, really? That would have gone really well. They didn't do any of those, did they? All
No, I thought that the EMI would have just thrown that together, but I mean, they did have form with not doing a video for Punch and Judy back in the day. So, and there wasn't even a live video for Freaks and Kaylee Live, there was there? So, it's a shame. It's a shame.
You were right though. By the time The Company was released, the whole music industry was changing. Where I lived in Buxton at the time, Manchester was completely changing the sound of what was coming out of there without what was coming from America as well at the time.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say about The Company, guys?
It's a classic.
It is a classic.
Absolute classic.
Thank you very much for listening to this mini pod. You have been listening to Stephen Wicks.
Bye, everybody.
Kieron Buxton.
Bye, everyone.
Mark McCormac.
Thanks, guys.
Stuart Clyde.
Goodbye, folks.
I'm Mikie Kay.
Goodbye, folks.
I've been Mezza, and I'm here with my co-host, Faye Gooston.
Why, thank you.
It's good night from me.
And it's good night from him.
Take care.
And push off. This company's my own.
Brilliant.
Well, I wasn't going to say fuck, was I?
That'll be it. That'll be it, I'll tell you now.
Thanks for listening to Planet Marzipan Podcast. Please like and subscribe from whichever platform you get your podcasts from. You can contact us at planetmarzipanpodcast@gmail.com and check out marillion.com, fishmusic.scot for all the good stuff.